On the night of November 8th, 2010, a shocking event took place in Markham, Ontario, Canada. The peaceful community was rocked by a brutal crime that would leave lasting scars on everyone involved. Jennifer Pan's mother was tragically killed, and her father was critically injured in what initially appeared to be a random act of violence. However, as the story came to light, a darker and more twisted truth emerged. Jennifer herself had orchestrated the entire event. Let's delve into Jennifer's story to understand what drove her to make such an extreme decision. From the outside, the Pan family seemed like a model of discipline and hard work. But beneath the surface, Jennifer felt deeply that she was never good enough. One of the most depressing feelings in the world is when children don't feel loved and appreciated by their parents. This was exactly how Jennifer Pan felt about her own parents. Jennifer's parents, Hue Han Pan and Beach Pan, were very strict and controlling. They believed that pushing Jennifer to work hard was the best way to secure her future. They had high expectations for her in both academics and extracurricular activities. Jennifer's parents wanted her to be successful and thought that their strict rules and constant pressure would help her achieve great things. However, Jennifer felt overwhelmed and exhausted by their demands. She felt like she could never live up to their expectations, no matter how hard she tried. Instead of feeling loved and supported, Jennifer felt trapped and suffocated. She longed for freedom and the chance to make her own choices in life. The constant pressure and lack of emotional support from her parents made her feel desperate and hopeless. In her desperation, Jennifer made an awful decision. She planned to kill her parents, believing that this was the only way to escape their control and finally be free. She thought that by getting rid of her parents, she could live the life she wanted without their constant interference. This plan led to a series of events that would change her life forever and ultimately result in a disturbing outcome for her and her family. Jennifer Pan became infamous in Markham, Ontario, a community that once knew her as a promising and well-behaved young woman. Her name sent shockwaves throughout the town, and soon after, across the entire province of Ontario. The shock wasn't just due to the brutality of the crime she committed, but also the disturbing way in which she planned it. What horrified people the most was how Jennifer, who had once appeared to be the perfect daughter and student, had carefully constructed an elaborate lies over many years. Her ability to deceive her parents, friends, and even the community, all while maintaining an image of a high-achieving, obedient child, left everyone in disbelief. Jennifer's downfall wasn't caused by one bad choice, but was the result of years of lying and manipulation that led her to make a terrible decision. The case became a source of lure and horror as people tried to understand how someone with so much potential could end up committing such a tragic act. Her story is a scary reminder of how deep emotional struggles, hidden behind a facade of success, can lead to devastating consequences affecting not only the individual but their entire family and community. At the center of this tragedy was the Pan family, consisting of Beach Ha and Hue Han Pan, both Vietnamese refugees who had a humble yet determined beginning in Canada. Han, originally from Vietnam, spent his childhood there before migrating to Canada in 1979 as a refugee. Similarly, Bitch shared a similar background, having been born in Vietnam and arriving in Canada as a refugee as well. The couple met, married in Toronto, and started their family in Scarborough. In 1986, they welcomed their first daughter, Jennifer, followed by the birth of their second child, Felix, in 1989. The Pan family worked diligently at Magna International, an automotive parts manufacturer located in Aurora, Ontario. Han worked as a skilled tool and die maker, while Beach worked alongside him, specializing in manufacturing car parts. As immigrants, they were hardworking and seized every opportunity to provide for their children, Jennifer and Felix, hoping to give them a future that was better than the one they themselves had known. Their hard work became their guiding principle, and over the years they became very prudent, saving every penny they could. This dedication eventually paid off. In 2004, they were able to purchase a beautiful home in Markham, a nice residential area known for its upscale community. Their financial stability also allowed them to afford luxury cars, including a Lexus and a Mercedes. With their new home and material success, they felt proud of the life they had built in Canada. Their focus was always on providing their children with the best opportunities, but it was also a source of immense pressure for Jennifer, whose parents' high expectations would later play a significant role in her life. Bich Ha and Hui Han Pan, like many immigrant parents, had incredibly high expectations for their children's futures. They wanted Jennifer and her younger brother Felix to excel and take every opportunity to achieve. Felix, a mechanical engineering student at a prestigious university, followed his father's wishes to pursue a career that would allow him to work with cars, just as their family had done. However, Han pushed Felix to aim higher, hoping he would design cars, not just work on them. Jennifer, too, was seen as an impressive student, one who excelled academically and participated in numerous extracurricular activities. From a very young age, her parents enrolled her in piano lessons, starting when she was just 4 years old, hoping she would become a gifted musician. She also played the flute in her school band, took part in wushu for self-defense, and immersed herself in figure skating. Her parents were especially invested in her skating, believing that Jennifer could one day become an Olympic athlete. They supported her dreams, taking her to late-night training sessions and competitions, thinking her success would not only secure her future, but improve the family's status, proving that their sacrifices as immigrants had paid off. However, Jennifer's dream of becoming a professional figure skater was crushed in 8th grade when she suffered a severe knee injury during a competition. Her parents, who had invested so much hope in this dream, were deeply disappointed. They blamed Jennifer for the injury, which led to increased tension and strain in their already stressful and complicated relationship. The emotional toll of the injury and their criticism deeply affected Jennifer, who was unable to cope with the immense expectations and disappointment. She struggled with feelings of guilt and failure, eventually resorting to self-harming as a way to handle her pain. This was the start of a difficult time in Jennifer's life, where the pressure from her family's high expectations and her inability to meet them started to affect her mentally, making her feel far from the perfect daughter her parents had always wanted. Hui Han Pan, Jennifer's father, was especially strict and put forth immense pressure on his children to succeed. He had high standards for Jennifer and pushed her to perform well academically. His parenting style was the epitome of what is often called tiger parenting, where discipline and academic success were valued above all else. Han believed in controlling almost every aspect of Jennifer's life to ensure she stayed focused on her studies. Social activities, such as attending parties or hanging out with friends, were seen as distractions and were strictly forbidden. Jennifer's social life was severely limited, and she was not allowed to participate in events that could interfere with her academic performance. By the time Jennifer was 22 years old, she had never gone to a club, had never been drunk, and had never visited a friend's house for fear it would take away from her studies. To her father, everything was about achieving success and proving that the sacrifices they made as immigrants had been worthwhile. However, despite outward appearances, Jennifer was struggling. The pressure of maintaining the perfect image was too much for her. She began to fall behind in her studies, something that her parents could not tolerate. In her senior year of high school, she failed calculus, and as a result, Ryerson University, which had earlier offered her early admission, revoked the offer. Rather than facing the reality of her failure, Jennifer chose to lie. She had lied to her parents many times before, and this was no different. She forged her high school diploma, creating a false transcript to make it seem as though she had passed her courses and was on track for university. Jennifer didn't stop there. She also fabricated acceptance letters and transcripts to show that she was excelling academically. This deception became part of her daily life, and she continued to manipulate the situation, hiding her true academic struggles from her parents. The burden of keeping these lies was heavy, but Jennifer was too scared of disappointing her family, which made her continue lying and feel more emotionally distressed. In 11th grade, Jennifer Pan began dating a senior named Daniel Wong, a young man who was deeply involved in the world of drug dealing, a lifestyle that her strict and traditional parents would never approve of. Daniel's presence in Jennifer's life was completely different from everything her parents stood for, and Jennifer, fully aware of the consequences if they discovered the truth, chose to keep the relationship a secret. For Jennifer, Daniel wasn't just another boyfriend. He became a symbol of freedom and independence, offering her a sense of escape from the constant pressure to succeed. In a life where her every move was controlled and her choices were dictated by her parents' rigid standards, Daniel provided her with an outlet for rebellion, a chance to defy the rules and experience a more carefree existence. With Daniel, Jennifer felt like she could finally be herself, without the weight of her parents' expectations, without the need to constantly strive for perfection. He made her feel alive in ways she hadn't experienced before, and the relationship quickly became her emotional sanctuary, where she could feel truly understood and accepted. The secrecy in Jennifer's life didn't end with just hiding her relationship. She went to even greater lengths to maintain the false impression of a successful academic career. She told her parents that she had received an acceptance letter from Ryerson University and convinced them she was attending classes. To back up her story, Jennifer used old textbooks and took notes as if she were a dedicated student. In truth, however, she was working as a server at a restaurant while also teaching piano lessons to earn money. As Jennifer's 2008 graduation approached, she continued to fabricate her lies. She informed her parents that the university only provided one ticket per student for the ceremony. To avoid upsetting either of her parents, Jennifer told them that she had given her ticket to a friend, claiming it was the fairest way to handle the situation. In reality, Jennifer wasn't attending any university graduation at all, but she managed to keep up the impression of a successful academic life. Jennifer's lies continued to grow more elaborate as she told her parents that she had been accepted into the prestigious pharmacology program at the University of Toronto. She convinced them that in order to focus on her studies, she needed to stay with a friend 3 nights a week. To make the lie even more convincing, Jennifer claimed she was volunteering in a lab at a children's hospital as part of her degree. In reality, she wasn't enrolled in any program, and her time was spent living a completely different life. However, her father grew suspicious when he noticed Jennifer didn't have a badge or uniform, which should have been a part of her supposed volunteer job at the children's hospital. Determined to uncover the truth, both Han and Bitch followed her one day. In a panic, Jennifer quickly hid inside the hospital, hoping her parents would leave before they discovered her lie. Later, Jennifer's father, Han, decided to call Topaz, the friend she claimed she was staying with during the week, to verify her story. To his shock, he learned that Jennifer had been lying all along. Confronted with the truth, Jennifer finally admitted that she wasn't working at the hospital or studying pharmacology as she had told them. Furious by the betrayal, Han immediately kicked her out of the house. However, Jennifer's mother, Bitch, intervened and begged for her daughter to be allowed back in, fearing the consequences of losing her. Unwillingly, Han agreed to let Jennifer return, but under strict conditions. They demanded she retake high school calculus and work toward earning her diploma. As part of the punishment, Jennifer's parents took control of her devices, monitoring every email and message she sent. Her small freedoms were stripped away, and she was forbidden from seeing Daniel. Unable to imagine a life without Daniel and feeling trapped under the suffocating control of her parents, Jennifer became desperate. She saw no way out of her situation and began to dwell on disturbing thoughts. Jennifer and Daniel, in their shared desperation, started discussing an unimaginable plan: to have her parents killed. They believed this was the only way they could be together without her parents' constant interference, and that it would free them both from the life Jennifer had been forced to live. Before Jennifer finalized her plan to murder her parents with Daniel, she reached out to an old school friend, Andrew Montemayor, for help. Andrew introduced her to a man named Ricardo Duncan, who he claimed could carry out the job for a fee. Ricardo agreed to kill her father, Han, for $1,500, and the two began planning the murder carefully. They decided to kill Han while he is in a parking lot, but the scheme fell apart when Duncan ran off with the money, leaving Jennifer's plan in ruins. After the failed attempt with Ricardo Duncan, Jennifer and Daniel turned to a more dangerous plan. They arranged for 3 men, Lenford Crawford, David Milvaganum, and Eric Carty, to carry out the attack on her parents. In return, Jennifer promised them a share of the inheritance she expected to receive. Crawford, who had criminal connections, was introduced to Jennifer by Daniel. They agreed on a price of $10,000 for Crawford's role in the plan, which Jennifer would pay from her inheritance once the murder was carried out. Crawford then took steps to prepare for the attack, scouting Jennifer's neighborhood on Halloween in 2010 to ensure he knew the area well. On November 8, 2010, Crawford texted Jennifer saying, "After work, okay, will be game time," signaling that the plan was set for that night. Fortunately for Jennifer, her brother Felix was spending a late night at his college campus. On November 8, 2010, Jennifer Pan put her dark plan into action. Around 8:30 p.m., she was in her bedroom watching TV, while her father, Han, was reading a Vietnamese newspaper. Later, Han went to bed, and her mother, Bitch, returned from line dancing with a friend. After changing into her pajamas, Bitch sat down in the living room to watch TV. At 9:35 p.m., Jennifer received a call from David Milvaganum. They had a brief conversation, after which Jennifer quietly went downstairs and unlocked the front door at 10:02 p.m. As part of their plan, they used the light in the study room to signal the intruders to enter the house. Jennifer and Daniel communicated through phone calls and text messages using the phrase VIP access to confirm the men were allowed to enter. Along with Lenford Crawford, David, and a third member named Eric Carty, joined the scheme. The men entered the house through the unlocked front door. Initially, they confronted Bitch in the living room while Eric went upstairs to find Jennifer. Meanwhile, Han woke up to a hand pressed against his forehead and was dragged out of bed and downstairs. The intruders shoved both parents to the basement, where they were ordered to turn around as a blanket was thrown over their heads. The parents, confused and terrified, desperately pleaded with the intruders not to harm Jennifer. Bitch's final words were a plea for the safety of their daughter. The intruder provided reassurances that Jennifer would remain unharmed. However, the situation took a tragic turn when gunshots rang out. Bitch was shot at point-blank range, and Han was shot in the face. In a state of panic, Jennifer immediately dialed 911 for help.
Where are you, ma'am?
Please just don't my parents.
Ma'am, calm down. What?
Some people broke into our house and they just showed all his money. And I could hear my parents yelling downstairs. Please send help.
Ma'am, where are you? What?
Avenue.
Avenue Road.
Yes.
Can you spell the street name for me, please?
Dad? Just 911. I'm calling
Ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, I need to know your address. Avenue Road. Can you please spell?
In Helen Avenue. My dad just went outside screaming.
Ma'am, can you spell the street address for me, please?
H-E-L-E-N. Someone broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
In a panic, Jennifer immediately dialed 911 at 10:30 p.m., explaining the situation in distress. In the background, her father's moans could be heard as he regained consciousness and discovered his wife's tragic fate. Jennifer claimed that intruders had entered the home, tied her up, and shot her parents. She portrayed herself as a victim, crying in distress as she convinced the 911 operator of the horrific events. Her performance made it seem as though she was innocent and terrified. At first, the police believed the incident was a terrible home invasion that had gone horribly wrong. However, as investigators dug deeper, they began to notice several inconsistencies in Jennifer's account.
Jen, okay? You let them in the house. You let them in. We know that. You went downstairs and you opened that door for them. We know that. Jen, you did leave the door open for them, didn't you? Pardon?
Yes.
Yes. And that's why you went downstairs earlier in the night, right? After your mom got home, what did you do?
Went down and said hello. Pretended to check the door.
And was it locked?
No.
You made sure it was unlocked?
Yes.
Okay, then what?
I asked her if it was in a bed for me. She said, I don't know.
Okay, so again, we have some truth here. That's good, Jen. We know all along that you let them in, okay? We knew that. I knew why you went downstairs, okay? That was done on purpose, right? You had to let them in, right? Jen?
Yes.
Okay, now did they tell you to do that?
Yes.
So what else did they tell you to do?
That was it, just to make sure they had access.
There were no signs of forced entry into the home, which contradicted her story of an intruder breaking in. Also, her account didn't align with the physical evidence at the crime scene. One of the most puzzling aspects was how Jennifer could have called 911 while claiming to be tied up by the intruders, raising further suspicions about her involvement.
Okay, so just take your sweater off. Stand up and turn around. Put this in the side that you believe it was in. Great. Turn around so that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were. Okay? Now, and are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm
Yes?
around the banister,
Yes?
but my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good enough. Sit.
During her interviews, Jennifer's behavior raised numerous suspicions, prompting detectives to take a closer look at her involvement in the crime. When a detective asked her about how the suspects entered the house, she nervously responded, "I don't know."
Now, do you think there's any reason why they tied you up and didn't tie your parents up?
I don't know.
This statement seemed odd, as it contradicted the physical evidence. Security footage later revealed the truth. 3 men had entered the Pans' home through the front door. One of the hitmen quickly left after 30 minutes, while the other 2 fled shortly after. As the investigation progressed, Jennifer's digital footprint became a key focus. Text messages and call records revealed that she had been in constant communication with Daniel and the hitmen in the days leading up to the attack. These messages confirmed her involvement in planning the crime, further exposing more lies she had told about the events of that night. When Jennifer realized that the police were closing in on her, she attempted to shift the blame by claiming she had paid the intruders $2,000 to kill her, but that they had mistakenly killed her mother and shot her father instead.
Sorry, aren't you?
This explanation, however, was not convincing. Her father, Han, who had been in a coma, regained consciousness on November 12th and gave a crucial statement to the police. He revealed that he had seen Jennifer speaking with one of the gunmen before the attack, as though they were friends. This shocking revelation led investigators to question Jennifer again on November 22nd. When the detective confronted her, saying he knows everything about her involvement, Jennifer's composure finally cracked. She broke down and confessed, admitting to her role in orchestrating the attack on her parents. "But what happens to me?" Jennifer asked.
Before that night that this was going to happen. I'm going to make that easy on you. That's a true statement, right? You knew before that night that they were coming, right? Jen? It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you.
On the night of Jennifer's confession, both she and Daniel Wong were arrested. As the investigation progressed, the remaining 3 hitmen involved in the attack were apprehended in the spring of 2011, bringing the entire criminal network to justice. Despite the strong evidence, Jennifer Pan, Daniel Wong, and the 3 other men involved in the plot have all pleaded not guilty to the charge of first-degree murder. Although the tragic events involving the Pan family occurred in 2010, Jennifer Pan's trial did not begin until 2014. The trial was a lengthy process, lasting a total of 10 months, capturing widespread attention. The prosecution presented a compelling case against Jennifer Pan, showcasing her lies and the calculated nature of her role in the murder plot. They argued that Jennifer had orchestrated a fake home invasion with the intention of killing her parents, all in an effort to claim half of their insurance money, which would then be shared with her brother. Prosecutors emphasized that it was driven by money and Jennifer's deep resentment toward her strict father. She had claimed that she never wanted to hurt her mother, but the prosecution painted a different picture. The courtroom was filled with spectators eager to hear the shocking details of Jennifer's betrayal. The prosecution painted her as a cold-blooded mastermind who had meticulously planned her family's murder, betraying her own parents. Her manipulation and lies were front and center as the evidence and testimony unfolded. They argued that Jennifer's desire for freedom from her controlling father and her longing for her own life of independence drove her to this horrific act. The defense, on the other hand, tried to argue that Jennifer was simply a desperate young woman, overwhelmed by her parents' expectations, and that she had been emotionally manipulated by Daniel Wong, her boyfriend. However, The jury saw through the tears and the excuses, recognizing that Jennifer's actions were much more calculated and cruel than what the defense tried to portray. Lawrence Cohen, Daniel Wong's lawyer, took a sharp approach during cross-examination, suggesting that Jennifer was a person capable of switching between different personalities. When asked about this, Jennifer agreed, acknowledging that she had the ability to change who she was depending on the situation. Cohen asked whether part of her fantasy was that she never really intended to go through with the plan to kill herself, implying that Jennifer had concocted the idea only as part of her manipulation. Jennifer responded affirmatively, admitting that her intentions may have been more about control than actual suicide. Cohen continued by asking if Jennifer had been playing games with Wong, especially when it came to their tumultuous relationship. He questioned whether Jennifer had truly accepted the reality of Wong's new relationship. Jennifer said, yes. Cohen then posed a question about whether Jennifer had difficulty separating reality from fantasy, to which she again replied, that's correct. He further stated that even Daniel, the man Jennifer had claimed to love, never truly figured her out. Jennifer again agreed, confirming the lawyer's assertion. Cohen continued, pointing out how much Jennifer loved Daniel almost to the point of obsession. He said it was a real love, but mentioned that she never brought Daniel home to meet her father because her parents would never approve of him working as a kitchen manager at a restaurant. Jennifer didn't deny this and just agreed with how she felt. Cohen's line of questioning was planned to show the depths of Jennifer's delusions and obsession. The lawyer also referred to an interview Jennifer had with a police detective on November 22, 2010, when she admitted to letting the intruders into her house that night and unlocking the door for them. Cohen asked Jennifer directly if she realized that allowing the intruders in was an incredible act of betrayal. Jennifer didn't hesitate in agreeing, acknowledging that it was indeed a cold-hearted act. She admitted that her actions were nothing short of betrayal. Jennifer expressed frustration during the trial, noting that she felt tired and betrayed by the detective who had been questioning her. She claimed the detective acted as though he understood her feelings, but she didn't believe he truly did. In a moment of clarity, she admitted that this sense of betrayal was why she was now sitting on the witness stand. She openly accepted that the story she was telling, though incredible, was the truth. Cohen's line of questioning was relentless, but Jennifer, despite her emotional breakdown, never faltered from her story, claiming that it was her truth, no matter how unbelievable it seemed to others. Her confession about the night her parents were murdered revealed a disturbing picture of a young woman who betrayed her family in a desperate attempt to escape her controlled life. Through the testimony, Jennifer's true character slowly became clear, and the truth behind the horrific events was revealed. In the end, the courtroom was left dealing with the depth of Jennifer's deceit and the horrific outcome of her actions. The defense team argued that Jennifer Pan had been manipulated and coerced by her boyfriend, Daniel Wong, and the three men who carried out the murder, attempting to portray her as a vulnerable young woman who had fallen under their influence. They claimed she was under immense pressure and had been misguided by these individuals, unable to make her own decisions. However, the evidence against Jennifer was excessive. It was clear that she had been the mastermind behind the plot, perfectly planning the murder of her parents. After a lengthy and intense trial, Jennifer was found guilty on all charges, and the jury convicted her of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Daniel Wong, Lenford Crawford, and David Milvaganam were all convicted of the same charges, while Eric Carty pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. In the years following Jennifer's conviction, the impact of her actions continued to haunt her family. Although her father, Han Pan, survived the attack, he was left to cope with the devastating loss of his wife and the deep betrayal of his own daughter. In a written statement, Han expressed his grief, saying, "When I lost my wife, I lost my daughter at the same time. I hope my daughter Jennifer thinks about what happened to her family and can become a good, honest person someday." The emotional toll on Han was immense, leading him and Jennifer's brother, Felix, to seek court-ordered protection to prevent any contact with Jennifer. The judge granted their request, further increasing Han's suffering. He struggled with severe anxiety, depression, nightmares, and difficulty sleeping. His ability to function at work and live a normal life deeply compromised by the betrayal. As news of Jennifer Pan's arrest spread, the community of Markham was left in complete shock. Many people who had known the Pan family described them as a hardworking, close-knit family who had always been dedicated to their values. However, the truth about Jennifer's involvement in the crime crushed the image of their once loving household. News outlets across Canada sensationalized the case, with headlines labeling Jennifer as a master manipulator and cold-blooded killer. Her shocking story quickly became a national sensation, capturing the public's attention and initiating widespread media coverage, as people across the country were captivated by the details of the case. The Jennifer Pan case served as a wake-up call, sparking important discussions about the intense pressures often placed on children in immigrant families. It highlighted the critical need for better open communication and mental health support within families. This tragic event stands as a haunting reminder of the extreme lengths to which desperation and unsatisfied emotional needs can push someone, leading to a devastating loss for everyone involved. Many people, especially on Reddit, debated whether Jennifer Pan was a victim of her parents' cruel treatment or simply a cold-blooded murderer who betrayed her family. Some users expressed sympathy for her, emphasizing the intense pressures she faced growing up in a strict immigrant family that imposed high expectations. One Reddit user in particular argued, "To be fair to Pan, many people in the comments hated her for what she did because they thought she could have just moved out or handled it better," pointing to the belief that there were alternative paths she could have taken to escape the overwhelming situation without resorting to such extreme measures. While another Reddit user strongly disagreed with this line of thinking, responding, "And that is by far the worst argument I have ever heard against her, because it does not account for her age and socioeconomic conditions in regards to dependency on her parents, nor the psychological trauma she got from her parents." The reality of her circumstances, they argued, was far more complex than simply moving out or handling it better. In a further response, another Reddit user commented, "A lot of people don't understand the pressure she was under. It is weird that we can look at something like that and be like, I can get it, and no one else does." Both Han and Bish were known for their tiger parenting style, which meant they had high expectations, particularly when it came to academics and career success. Jennifer's fear of disappointing them was so intense that it led her to fabricate stories about her education and future. She lied about graduating from high school and being accepted into a pharmacology program, all in an attempt to live up to her parents' demands and avoid their rage. Especially in many Asian families, there is a strong emphasis on tiger parenting, a style where education is seen as the key to success, as a way to move up in society. This approach places immense pressure on children, as the desire for financial stability and societal recognition is often deeply ingrained. In many immigrant families, the expectation to achieve academically becomes even more distinct as parents seek a better life for their children. This was particularly true for the Pan family, where Jennifer was pushed to excel both academically and socially. The overwhelming pressure from her parents led Jennifer to live a double life, one where she seemingly appeared successful while privately struggling with the stress and fear of never meeting their high expectations. Jennifer Pan is currently serving her life sentence at the Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener, Ontario, following her conviction for the brutal murder of her parents. Despite her conviction, a significant legal development occurred in May 2023 when the Ontario Court of Appeal ruled that Jennifer, along with Daniel Wong, Lenford Crawford, and David Milvaganam, should face new trials. The court's decision was based on the argument that the original jury should have been given the option of considering second-degree murder or manslaughter as potential convictions, rather than just first-degree murder. This ruling has raised questions about the fairness and finality of the initial verdict. Jennifer Pan's case serves as a reminder of the dangers of excessive pressure, isolation, and secrecy. Her story depicts the ultimate consequences of living a double life. It highlights how the weight of unspoken expectations, particularly in immigrant families, can push individuals to their breaking points. For many first-generation children of immigrants, there is often a deep-rooted struggle between traditional values that emphasize family honor, respect, and academic achievement, and modern societal pressures that encourage individuality and mental health awareness. This conflict can create a sense of confusion and alienation, where children feel trapped between two worlds, neither of which they fully belong to. For children like Jennifer, the harsh pressure to meet their parents' high expectations can feel suffocating, leaving little room for personal desires, self-expression, and emotional well-being. In some cases, this pressure can lead to desperate and extreme measures to escape or to satisfy unmet needs for love, acceptance, and validation. What do you think? Was Jennifer a victim of her circumstances, or was she simply a murderer consumed by her lies? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching our channel, where we uncover the most intriguing and real-life crime stories. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. Stay tuned for more gripping cases coming your way. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.